chip in Sam's in the Halloween hour. And we've been friends ever since. We send each other notes and she'll just say, hello beautiful, how's your day going? I'll write it back, beautiful, my day is going great. But we encourage one another. So, Mary has a special meaning to me, and I'm going to let her share her story with you this morning.
Hello and good afternoon. My name is Mary Franco, and I am a survivor. As is the story for most of you in this room, survival has been a way of life for me from a very young age. My parents were immigrants from Mexico struggling to make their way in this world. My dad was my greatest example of what meant to work hard. Although limited in his success by language barriers, lack of education, and culture differences, he never gave up and never made excuses. He took his role as provider for his family very seriously. At the age of 17, I became pregnant with my oldest daughter by a 23-year-old man who lied about his age. Feeling I had no option at the time, I made the decision to drop out of school and start life with that man. I quickly discovered he thought nothing more of me than his personal property. He was so possessive and controlling that when we were in public, I had to keep my eyes down and not look at any other men. He once beat me so badly for talking to one of my male cousins at a family reunion. I was bruised from head to toe and locked myself in my home to hide my injuries from others. After 2 years of extreme verbal and physical abuse, I found the courage to take my daughter and leave him. Unfortunately, the extensive abuse took a negative toll on my feelings of self-worth, and I fell into a pattern of bad relationships because I had never been able to feel stability with my partners. I put my children before all others and worked my fingers to the bones in order to provide the basics for my children. Seemingly, I was cursed and believed that good things could never happen for me. When my ex-husband left me, I felt as if that is the straw that broke the camel's back. There would be no recovering from this heartbreak, and life had no more meaning. In fact, the thought had crept into my head that I would be right to take my own life, considering nothing good could ever happen for me. By the grace of God, I was able to understand just how much that would hurt my kids and my parents. So I opted not to allow through with my plan to end my life. While going through my deepest moment of despair, I prayed to God to bring me a good man with green eyes. Honestly, I wasn't sure that was even possible. I have been let down by every man I've ever had a relationship with. However, I wanted it to be possible, so I held on to the belief that he would bring me the man I asked for. In the meantime, I spent my days pushing through the stresses of work and then crying myself to sleep at night. But I held on to the hope that God would hear my cries and to him and bring me a good man with green eyes. After being unemployed because of the pandemic and after my ex-husband walked out on me, I was led to a job at a car dealership in Farmington, New Mexico, where I was living at the time. I was working in the parts department. One day when I was feeling at my lowest, I heard a man's voice on a two-way radio singing a modified song, The Little Mermaid, letting the technicians know that there was a car needing oil change. It was so off the wall and goofy, I had to ask my boss, what the heck is that about? He told me it was just one of the goofy service writers named Chappie. As the day went on, I heard the silly man make goofy announcements over the two-way radio many times. He might have been the happiest man I've ever seen. I really didn't know what to make of him at first. One day, Chappie and I had a brief conversation, and he told me that he had just lost his dad 2 months ago. I was mind-blown as to how a man who just lost his father can remain so positive, happy, and goofy. He just appeared to be happy every day for no real good reason. I couldn't understand how this was even possible. I had to know his secret. I wanted that kind of happiness, So I mustered up the courage one day and see if I could ask him about it. He came back to the parts department to ask something, and I seized the opportunity and asked him, "You said you lost your dad, right?" His reply was yes. "Then how can you be so happy all the time?" I know, if I were to lost my dad, there would be no way that I could be happy like that. He said, "Losing my dad was one of the most difficult things I've had ever to endure, but had negative life experience that I've had to cope and overcome. Now I'm happy simply because my perspective had changed. I've come to know that happiness isn't about any one life experience or another. Happiness comes from within simply because we choose it." It sounds too easy to be true, however, it is absolutely true. I asked him if he could help me find that kind of happiness. He told me he had great mentors who helped him through some really dark times, and he will help me if I'm willing to do exactly what he told me to do without question, no matter how silly it sounded. I wasn't sure there was anything that could work for me, but I was willing to try. After all, what did I have to lose? I've already lost everything, so I thought it wasn't until later that I realized I needed to clear out the clutter in my life to allow room for the good. The first thing this crazy man had me do was list all the things I wanted in life. He told me that I can also list something that I didn't want, and he would help me turn it into something positive. As skeptical as I was, I made the list as he instructed. He took the list from me and turned everything into a positive affirmation, starting with, "I'm so happy and grateful now that." He said I needed to read these affirmations as last thing I do before sleep and the first thing I do in the morning. He told me that it would feel like lies at first, but keep going no matter what. I did what he asked. Over the next few months, he would check in on me every day and have me do insane things when I was stressing, such as look in the mirror and laugh until the laugh becomes real. The man was absolutely crazy with things he would have me do. But you know what? In the end, it worked. Strangely, the more I hung out with him, the more positive things began happening in my life. I began to call him my good luck charm. He would always be quick to tell me that it had nothing to do with luck and everything to do with perspective and belief. By changing my perspective, beliefs and expectation, I was creating an environment which would allow me to receive more positive things in life. Chappie explains to me the importance of removing things from my life that bring me down or are constant reminders of negative past. I decided it was time to make drastic changes in my life. My daughter lived here in Abilene with her boyfriend, who suggested I come and stay with them. After careful consideration, I agreed. I told Chappie about my plan to walk away from everything, including my home, and move to Abilene. I told him I was just going to file bankruptcy and walk away from my home. He suggested that I sell the home instead. However, I didn't believe it was possible to sell it so quickly. I was planning to move in 2 months. The homes in my neighborhood were not selling, and some had been on the market for more than a year. He explained to me that it was a matter of belief. He told me that nothing was impossible in the sight of God, and there would be nothing to lose by trying. I agreed to give it a try. However, I was still skeptical. He explained to me the importance of repeating, "I am so happy and grateful now that my home has sold for the full price or more before my move to Abilene." He also told me to imagine the sale and to feel real feelings of gratitude. I planned to move to Abilene in January of 2021 and listed my home in November of 2020. I didn't see a way for it to happen, but I trusted what Chappie was telling me, and I wanted to believe. To my surprise, the first showing was 3 days after listing, and above full price offer was received the following day. I was absolutely floored by what had happened. I was beginning to believe that good things could happen to me after all. As I was preparing for the move and making other changes in my life, Chappie was there every step of the way. He was a daily and sometimes hourly reminder to think differently. So I continued to do all the silly and simple things he asked me to do. As time progressed and tried to follow his lead, I noticed that I was feeling happier and more confident. It actually felt like there was hope for my future. As moving day drew near, I began to have my doubts. I began to have increased anxiety and apprehension about whether I was making the right decision. Chappie was right by my side, calming my nerves and reassuring me. When moving day arrived, he was at my door at 4 a.m. to drive the moving truck and see if I safely made it to my destination. After the move, and as Chappie was preparing to head back to New Mexico, a sudden realization that I didn't want him to go back. I was like, don't go back. He told me he would be back in 2 months to stay. I realized then that God had given me my good man with green eyes. Though I still struggled with belief, I was beginning to understand that there could be some truth to Chappie's crazy way of thinking. On April 1st, 2021, Chappie arrived in Abilene and we began our new life together. Everything was working out in ways I didn't know possible. 2 weeks later, I was sharing with Chappie my long life dream to own and operate a taco truck. Yes, why haven't I fulfilled my dream? I told him because I never had the support and didn't know how to go about on my own. He told me that all we needed to do is let God know what we wanted and then believe. As long as the belief remains and we take action to our part, the truck will arrive at the perfect time and in the perfect way. So we began to search for the taco truck. Every day we would thank the Lord for the taco truck that he was bringing our way. Every day we would look and look, but we couldn't find anything within our budget. I was beginning to lose hope and find a taco truck I had always wanted. One day while at work, I found a truck that looked too good to be true. I sent the link to Chappie and he suggested we go and look at the truck. When we went to the link, we found that the truck was no longer available. I decided the Lord had another plan for me and decided to give up. Chappie told me that it didn't work that way. The Lord gives you everything you ask for in his own time and in his own way. However, it only works if you continue to believe. He suggested that we send an email to the seller and verify that if the truck was available or not. The owner responded to the email and he said the truck was available. He had given up on selling it because he had no one interested. We made arrangements to look at the truck. The truck was exactly what we were looking for, but a little bit more we wanted to pay. We offered him what we had budgeted, which was about $1,500 less than what we were wanting. Guess what? He said yes. Just like that, we had ourselves a taco truck. We were excited, more proof that dreams come true. Things were really starting to look up for me. The following month, we traveled back to New Mexico to visit my parents. It was such a good visit. On our last night there, I actually found a lump on my right breast. I had a sudden surge of fear and overwhelming anxiety. I told Chappie what I found and that I was very scared. He comforted me as best as he could. However, I sensed that he was a little nervous himself. As soon as we returned to Abilene, we visited our family doctor. She told me that she didn't expect that it was anything to worry about, but wanted to do a biopsy just to be sure. On August the 12th, 2021, we had a biopsy done at Hendricks. On August 16th, 2021, one day before my mom's birthday, I received a call from the doctor telling me to come see her immediately and to bring my husband. I knew it wasn't good news. After my diagnosis of triple-negative breast cancer, it felt as if the world was collapsing down on me all over again. Why would God make everything go so well to pull the rug out from underneath my feet? I just couldn't understand how God had me move away to promise of a new and happier life, and then give me cancer. Chappie asked me, could it be that moving here was exactly what you needed to save your life? Is it possible that God directed you here because he knew this is where the right doctors, nurses, and support system is for you? He got me to thinking about what might have happened if I had stayed where I was in New Mexico. The more I thought about the healthcare system in New Mexico compared to the healthcare system here, I realized that I might not have survived or even been diagnosed for that matter. God works in mysterious ways, but always is right and is just in his actions. Because of the treatment, I had to put my dream of operating a taco truck on hold. After months of seeing my dream sitting idle, I decided that it wasn't meant to be. I gave up on my dream. Chappie could not hear of it and organized a benefit fundraiser in the taco truck. He made flyers, passed them out. He made announcements in the church, on social media. That day arrived, and I saw the chocolate truck in action. This was exactly how I envisioned my dream chocolate truck working. We had a huge turnout. However, toward the end of the day, the chocolate truck caught on fire, and it was a total loss. Once again, I was devastated. Why would God punish me like this? Friends from church helped me understand that when we are on the right path, sometimes the Lord tests us to see if we will continue faithful, even after tough times. But I was too traumatized. I couldn't get the courage to buy another chocolate truck. My other lifelong dream was to own a motorhome. I thought that if I could somehow get one, I could use it as a backup if met with hard times. In the meantime, I would rent it out as an Airbnb for some additional income. I realized that it had worked for me before, so why wouldn't it work for me again? I told the Lord that I was looking for and what my budget was. I let him know that I was expecting a miracle at this time, and I believed with all my heart. I looked at a few, but none were within my budget. I left it to God and didn't worry about it. I knew through experience that with belief and patience, the Lord would deliver the right one at the right time. Chappie and I took another trip to New Mexico. While there, we mentioned to my dad what we were looking for. Little did we know he spent the night looking online for a motorhome. The morning we were leaving back, he told us there was a motorhome just down the road for sale. Said it looked like what we described we wanted. Before heading out of town, we went and took a look. There it was, what we were looking for, right before our eyes. However, it was a little more than we wanted to spend. We asked the seller if we could be willing to take the amount we had budgeted, which is significantly less than what he was asking. Can you believe it? He said yes. And just like that, another dream realized. Throughout the entire journey, I have been blessed with an incredible support system. The doctors, the nurses, and the breast cancer community have become more like family. Through this experience, our life had been blessed and enriched in ways I would never have thought possible. I'm not saying that I'm grateful for cancer, because I'm not. But what I can say is that through this very difficult journey, I have learned more about myself and my inner strength. I have learned who are my true friends, my true supporters in life. I have learned that God not only hears prayers, but answers them all in his own way and in his own time. I have learned that no matter what life throws at me, with proper perspective, I can have joy and happiness. I've also learned that all things are possible for God. What is the secret to life? Decide what you want your life to be. Believe it is possible. Feel real feelings of gratitude. Never give up. And you will have all that you need to live in a fulfilling and joyful life. The thoughts you sustain and focus are what will determine what your life will be. You want more joy, hope, and peace in your life? Sustain focus on the good that surrounds you, and you will find more of it in your life. Life will never be perfect for any of us. However, I promise you all that life will be beautiful and miraculous if you choose it to be. The choice is always ours to make. I pray for you all every morning and every evening before bed. I know with absolute certainty that your life is yours to live however you choose it. So choose happiness, choose joy, choose faith, and you will always have what you need. That's my story.